Most men will never hear what I'm about to tell you because it dismantles everything they've been taught about attraction, age, and emotional power. If a younger woman's behavior has ever confused you, intrigued you, or made you question whether she feels more than she shows, stay with me. What you're about to hear is not flattering, comfortable, or obvious, but it is accurate. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. We've been conditioned to believe that if a woman is interested, she will be loud about it, that she will chase, test, demand, and dramatize. But real attachment doesn't announce itself, it reveals itself quietly in ways that most men misinterpret or completely miss. And because they miss it, they either overreact, pull away, or destroy something that was already theirs. This isn't about age gaps. It's about emotional recognition. Younger women don't fall for appearances. They fall for psychological safety, grounded presence, and clarity. And when they feel it, their behavior changes long before their words do. The problem is, most men are listening for confessions instead of watching for patterns. If you've ever felt calm instead of excited around someone, steady instead of anxious, chosen without being chased, this video is for you, because what you're experiencing isn't confusion, it's alignment, and alignment is rare. By the end of this video, you'll understand why restraint is often deeper than desire, why silence can mean security, and why the most powerful form of loyalty shows up before commitment is ever discussed. This isn't advice, it's awareness. And awareness changes how you move, how you respond, and how you hold what's already been given. Stay with me, because the moment you recognize these signs, you stop chasing clarity and start embodying it. Most men are taught to recognize attraction by noise, excitement, laughter that feels a little too loud, constant messages, obvious desire, but none of those are markers of emotional safety. They are markers of stimulation. And stimulation is easy to confuse with depth, especially when attention feels flattering. Emotional safety, on the other hand, is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself slowly, through regulation rather than reaction. When a younger woman's heart already belongs to you, her nervous system responds before her words ever do. Around you, she doesn't feel the need to stay alert. She doesn't brace herself, she doesn't prepare for judgment or performance. Her body softens, her pace slows, her emotional tone becomes grounded. This isn't indifference, it's trust. And trust is the psychological foundation of attachment. This is important because younger women live in environments that constantly activate their nervous systems. Social media rewards emotional spikes. Dating culture rewards novelty. Validation is fast, abundant, and disposable. In that kind of landscape, calm becomes rare. So when she finds herself calmer with you than without you, her mind takes note. Safety stands out precisely because chaos is normal. You'll notice it in how conversations unfold. There's less interruption, less posturing, less trying to be impressive. Silence doesn't feel awkward. It feels comfortable. She isn't filling space to hold your attention. She already has it. Emotional safety removes the need to compete, and when competition disappears, authenticity takes its place. Many men misread this calm as a lack of attraction. They assume if she isn't constantly reacting, she must be losing interest. In reality, the opposite is often true. Anxiety produces intensity. Security produces steadiness. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she doesn't cling, she settles. And settling is not resignation, it's selection. Psychologically, emotional safety tells a woman that she can be fully herself without risk of ridicule, dismissal, or punishment. She doesn't have to manage your emotions or walk on eggshells. She doesn't have to regulate you while regulating herself. That alone is deeply attractive because it allows her to remain in her feminine state without defense. This is where many men unknowingly sabotage connection. They mistake emotional safety for boredom and try to inject excitement by becoming unpredictable, distant, or provocative. But unpredictability doesn't create attraction, it creates uncertainty. and uncertainty activates fear, not desire. Emotional safety doesn't need theatrics, it needs consistency. Consistency is what allows a woman's nervous system to relax. When your reactions are proportionate, when your words match your actions, when your presence feels reliable, her body learns that it doesn't have to stay vigilant. Over time, that sense of regulation becomes associated with you specifically. You become the place where her mind can rest. And here's the part that most people never talk about. Emotional safety is not softness, it's strength. It comes from self-regulation, not passivity. A man who is emotionally safe is not reactive, not easily threatened, not destabilized by her emotions. He can hold space without absorbing chaos. That capacity signals maturity, not compliance. This is why emotional safety is often confused with being too nice. But niceness seeks approval. Emotional safety offers presence. One is transactional, the other is grounded. A younger woman can sense the difference almost immediately. She doesn't feel indebted to you. She feels anchored. Notice how she brings difficult topics to you without fear. She doesn't test you with emotional games. She doesn't escalate conflict to see if you'll stay. She trusts that you can handle nuance. That trust doesn't come from words. It comes from experience, from seeing that you don't overreact, that you listen without interrupting, that you respond instead of retaliating. Over time, this creates a subtle but powerful shift. She begins to associate emotional regulation with intimacy. Instead of excitement being the gateway to connection, safety becomes the gateway. And once that association forms, attachment deepens naturally. This is also why emotional safety often precedes desire becoming exclusive. Before a woman commits emotionally, she assesses whether a man is a stable psychological environment. Can she be herself here? Can she exhale here? Can she rest here? If the answer is yes, her heart moves closer without conscious effort. Philosophically, this speaks to something deeper than dating. Humans are drawn to environments that allow them to be whole. We move toward spaces where our nervous systems can downshift. Love, at its core, is not about excitement, it's about expansion without fear. Emotional safety creates that expansion, and when a younger woman experiences that with you, age becomes irrelevant. Her body isn't responding to numbers, it's responding to regulation, to leadership that doesn't dominate, to presence that doesn't demand, to strength that doesn't intimidate. If you're paying attention, you'll see it in the small things. She mirrors your calm. She slows her speech to match your rhythm. She becomes more thoughtful, more reflective, not because she's trying to impress you, but because she feels no urgency to rush. This is where your role becomes critical. Emotional safety can't be forced, and it can't be negotiated. It must be embodied. The moment you start trying to secure it, you destabilize it. The moment you start questioning it out loud, you introduce doubt. Emotional safety thrives in quiet confidence. So if you sense this calm around you, don't interrogate it. Don't rush it. Don't test it. Hold it. Protect it. Continue being consistent. Continue being regulated. Continue being present without grasping. Because when a woman feels safe with you emotionally, she isn't just attracted to you. She's already home. And the real question isn't whether she feels it. It's whether you're grounded enough to honor it. One of the most revealing signs that a younger woman's heart already belongs to you is not intensity, not constant contact, and not emotional urgency. It is consistency without demand. And this is where many men get it wrong, because they've been conditioned to equate effort with pressure and interest with pursuit. But real emotional investment doesn't shout for attention. It shows up quietly, repeatedly, and without conditions attached. When a woman is emotionally aligned with you, she gives attention freely, not as a strategy, not as a way to secure reassurance, but because you already occupy space in her mind. She remembers what you say, even when you didn't think it mattered. She follows up on conversations that had no immediate payoff. She listens for understanding, not for response. This isn't accidental. Memory is a form of attachment. You don't remember what doesn't matter to you. What makes this especially significant with younger women is the context they live in. Attention is abundant. Validation is everywhere. Messages, likes, reactions, none of it requires emotional investment. So when she chooses to invest attention consistently in one person without demanding constant reciprocation, that choice becomes meaningful. She is allocating a finite psychological resource where she feels secure. Consistency without demand also shows up in how she handles space. She doesn't panic when you're unavailable. She doesn't interpret your silence as rejection. She doesn't create emotional tension to pull you back into engagement. Instead, she remains emotionally steady. When you reconnect, the warmth is still there, the tone hasn't shifted, the connection hasn't been punished. This is not indifference. This is trust. Psychologically, this reflects secure attachment. A woman who feels emotionally bonded does not need to control proximity. She trusts continuity. She assumes connection rather than questioning it, and that assumption only forms when she already feels chosen, internally, not verbally. Many men misinterpret this steadiness as low interest. They expect emotional highs and lows because chaos has been normalized as passion. But chaos is not intimacy, it is uncertainty. And uncertainty activates attachment anxiety, not emotional depth. Consistency, on the other hand, signals that she is already emotionally settled in your presence. You'll notice that her investment doesn't come with negotiation. She doesn't say, "I did this, so you should do that." She doesn't keep score. She doesn't weaponize effort. There's no emotional accounting system running in the background. This tells you something crucial. She's not trying to earn a place. She believes she already has one. This is also why her effort feels light rather than heavy. It doesn't drain you. It doesn't feel transactional. It feels natural. And that's how you know it's coming from alignment rather than insecurity. There's a philosophical layer to this that often goes unnoticed. When someone invests without demanding, they are operating from abundance, not fear. Fear asks, "Will I lose this?" Abundance says, "I trust this exists." A woman whose heart already belongs to you is not operating from fear of loss. She is operating from presence. This presence shows up in small but telling ways. She checks in without interrogating. She supports without smothering. She celebrates your progress without competing with it. She respects your time because she respects your autonomy, and respect for autonomy is one of the clearest indicators of emotional maturity. In contrast, when interest is fueled by insecurity, it demands constant proof. It escalates quickly. It collapses when reassurance isn't immediate. It tries to anchor connection through control rather than trust. Consistent investment without demand is the opposite of that. It says, "I'm here because I want to be, not because I need to be." This is also why you'll notice she doesn't rush milestones. She doesn't pressure for labels. She doesn't push timelines. Not because she lacks intention, but because she isn't anxious about outcomes. She's present in the process, and presence is a sign of emotional confidence. Now here's where your response becomes critical. Consistency without demand can only survive in an environment that doesn't exploit it. If you take her steadiness for granted, if you become careless, if you start assuming access rather than appreciating choice, the dynamic shifts. Emotional investment thrives when it is met with respect, not entitlement. This doesn't mean you need to match her effort perfectly or perform emotional reciprocity on a schedule. It means you need to remain grounded, responsive, and self-respecting. When you acknowledge her presence without clinging to it, you reinforce safety. When you appreciate consistency without exploiting it, you deepen trust. There is also a quiet test embedded in this dynamic. A woman who invests without demanding is observing how you handle freedom. Do you become avoidant? Do you disappear? Do you overstep? Or do you remain steady yourself? Her heart doesn't just choose who feels good. It chooses who feels safe to invest in long term. And this is where age becomes irrelevant. Emotional maturity doesn't follow timelines. A younger woman who invests consistently without pressure has already crossed an internal threshold. She is not experimenting. She is not killing time. She is engaging with intention, even if she hasn't named it yet. If you recognize this pattern, the worst thing you can do is force clarity prematurely. Emotional alignment unfolds through rhythm, not interrogation. Let consistency speak. Let steadiness build. Let trust accumulate. Because when someone invests in you without demanding anything in return, they are showing you their capacity for partnership before partnership is ever discussed. And the real question is not whether she is giving enough, it's whether you are grounded enough to receive it without needing more. One of the clearest indicators that a younger woman's heart already belongs to you appears long before any label is spoken, long before commitment is negotiated, and long before the relationship is defined. It appears as respect, not performative respect, not polite agreement, but a deep, instinctive respect that governs how she treats you when nothing is being watched. Most people assume loyalty begins after commitment. Psychologically, that's backwards. Loyalty begins as an internal value, not a contractual one. A woman does not suddenly become loyal because a title was agreed upon. She agrees to the title because loyalty is already present. And if you understand this, you stop looking for reassurance in words and start paying attention to behavior. Respect reveals itself in restraint. She does not test your boundaries just to see how far she can push. She does not make jokes at your expense to gain social approval. She does not subtly undermine your authority, your competence, or your character in front of others. Even when she disagrees with you, there is a tone of seriousness beneath it, a recognition that you are not to be handled casually. This matters because respect is the foundation of emotional loyalty. Attraction can exist without respect, but it never lasts. Desire without respect turns into power games. But when respect is present, behavior changes. She becomes mindful of how her actions affect you. She thinks before she speaks. She protects the connection even when no one has asked her to. You'll notice this most clearly in social settings. When a woman's heart already belongs to you, she does not invite competition into the space. She doesn't seek validation at your expense. She doesn't entertain flirtation that would blur boundaries. Not because she's afraid of losing you, but because she doesn't want to dishonor what already exists. This is a critical distinction. Fear-based loyalty is fragile. It depends on control. Respect-based loyalty is stable. It exists even when freedom is present, and freedom is the real test. Anyone can appear loyal when monitored. Only someone with internal alignment remains loyal when they are not. Psychologically, this kind of respect emerges when a woman perceives a man as grounded in himself. She senses that you are not seeking approval, not easily destabilized, not competing for status. That self-possession invites respect. And once respect is established, loyalty follows naturally. Another overlooked sign is how she handles conflict. When respect is present, disagreement does not become character assassination. She doesn't bring up unrelated issues to gain leverage. She doesn't involve outsiders to validate her position. She keeps the disagreement contained, measured, and focused on resolution rather than domination. This tells you something profound. She is not trying to win against you. She is trying to protect the connection with you. And protection is a form of loyalty. Respect also shows up in how she speaks about you when you are not in the room. This is where many men are unaware of what truly matters. Loyalty is not proven by what someone says to your face. It's proven by what they refuse to say behind your back. A woman whose heart already belongs to you does not entertain narratives that diminish you. She does not allow others to disrespect you casually. Even if she doesn't defend you loudly, she withdraws from conversations that frame you unfairly. This behavior doesn't come from obligation. It comes from identification. She sees your image as connected to her own sense of integrity. To disrespect you would feel like a misalignment within herself. And notice something important here. None of this requires exclusivity to be declared. None of it requires promises to be exchanged. This is loyalty before commitment. It is internal, not negotiated. In contrast, when respect is absent, commitment becomes fragile. Labels are used to control rather than to honor. Boundaries are negotiated constantly. Loyalty is demanded instead of offered. And that dynamic always collapses under pressure. Respect also shapes how she responds to your standards. A woman whose heart already belongs to you does not see your boundaries as obstacles. She sees them as information. She adjusts without resentment, not because she's suppressing herself, but because she values the structure you bring. This is where many men confuse respect with compliance. They are not the same. Compliance comes from fear. Respect comes from admiration. A woman who respects you does not disappear inside the relationship. She becomes more herself because she feels safe within the frame you hold. Philosophically, respect is the recognition of another person's sovereignty. It is the acknowledgement that you are a complete individual, not an extension of her needs. When a woman grants you that recognition, she is already relating to you as a partner, not a project. And partnership does not begin with commitment. It begins with how two people hold each other's dignity. If you look closely, you'll also see respect in how she handles your vulnerabilities. She doesn't weaponize what you share. She doesn't use your openness to gain emotional advantage later. She treats your inner world with care. That is loyalty in its most subtle form. Now, here's the part that demands honesty from you. Respect cannot be negotiated into existence. It cannot be requested, and it cannot be restored once it has been repeatedly violated. It is cultivated through consistency, self-respect, and emotional leadership. If you abandon your standards to keep someone close, respect erodes. And without respect, loyalty becomes impossible. This is why men who are respected rarely need reassurance. They don't ask, "Where do I stand?" Because behavior answers that question clearly. They don't chase loyalty because loyalty follows respect naturally. So if you notice a younger woman treating you with seriousness, protecting your image, honoring your boundaries, and maintaining loyalty without being asked, understand what that means. Her heart is not undecided. It is already aligned. The only remaining question is not about her. It is whether you will continue to live in a way that deserves that respect, or whether you will compromise yourself and lose it. There is a particular kind of challenge that only appears when admiration is already present. It is not loud, it is not disrespectful, and it is not an attempt to control. It is the kind of challenge that sharpens rather than diminishes. When a younger woman's heart already belongs to you, she does not try to reshape your identity. She engages with your thinking, not your essence. And that distinction is everything. Most people associate admiration with agreement. They assume that if someone truly values you, they will never question you. But psychologically, that is not admiration, that is dependency. Real admiration allows space for difference. It allows curiosity, it invites dialogue, and it exists alongside acceptance, not instead of it. You will notice this in how she challenges you. She questions your ideas without attacking your character. She offers alternative perspectives without trying to win. She disagrees without escalating into emotional warfare. The tone remains grounded. The intention remains constructive. She is not trying to dominate the dynamic. She is trying to understand you more deeply. This matters because control always reveals itself through urgency. A woman who is trying to control a man rushes outcomes. She pressures change. She frames her discomfort as moral superiority. She attempts to reshape his behavior to regulate her own anxiety. But a woman who admires you does not feel the need to collapse time. She trusts the process because she respects the person. Psychologically, challenge without control is a sign of secure attachment. It means she does not experience your individuality as a threat. She does not need you to become smaller, softer, or more agreeable to feel safe. She can tolerate difference because she is not trying to merge identities. She is choosing connection, not fusion. This kind of dynamic often confuses men who are used to either being pedestalized or criticized. Pedestalization feels good initially, but it strips a man of his humanity. Criticism without admiration erodes self-worth. But challenge rooted in respect does something else entirely. It invites growth without implying inadequacy. You will see this in how she responds to your convictions. She may question them. She may ask you to explain them. She may push you to articulate them more clearly. But she does not mock them. She does not dismiss them. And she does not attempt to replace them with her own worldview. She is engaging, not erasing. This is crucial because identity is where most relationships fail. When one partner tries to re-engineer the other, resentment accumulates quietly. But when identity is honored, even disagreement becomes bonding. The relationship becomes a space for expansion, not contraction. There is also a subtle form of admiration embedded in this dynamic. She sees you as capable of self-direction. She trusts that you can reflect, adjust, or stand firm without external pressure. That trust removes the impulse to control, and when control disappears, intimacy deepens. Philosophically, this speaks to the difference between influence and manipulation. Influence respects agency. Manipulation undermines it. A woman whose heart already belongs to you seeks influence through dialogue, not manipulation through guilt or fear. She believes that if something matters, it can be discussed, not enforced. You will also notice that she does not compete with your sense of purpose. She does not frame your goals as threats to the relationship. She does not require constant reassurance that she is the center of your world. Instead, she is curious about your direction. She asks thoughtful questions. She wants to understand how you see the future, not redirect it. This again points to admiration. When a woman admires a man, she does not need to interrupt his trajectory to feel valued. She aligns with it or steps alongside it. Control only emerges when admiration is absent and insecurity fills the gap. Another important marker is how she handles moments where you do not change. When she expresses a perspective and you choose to remain where you are, she does not escalate. She does not punish you emotionally. She does not withdraw affection as leverage. She accepts that autonomy includes the right to remain unchanged. This acceptance is rare, and it only appears when someone values who you are more than who they want you to become. Psychologically, this reflects emotional differentiation. She can remain connected without needing sameness. She can disagree without threatening the bond. That capacity is foundational to long-term intimacy. It also reveals something about how she sees herself. A woman who does not need to control a man has a stable internal sense of self. She does not derive her identity from shaping yours. She does not need to win arguments to feel secure. Her worth is not contingent on dominance. And this is why challenge without control feels invigorating rather than exhausting. It sharpens your thinking. It invites reflection. It encourages clarity. It does not drain your energy or make you question your worth. Now, this is where responsibility returns to you. If you respond to healthy challenge with defensiveness, you shut down growth. If you interpret every question as a threat, you create distance. Emotional maturity requires the ability to engage without collapsing into ego. A man who can listen, reflect, and respond without losing his center reinforces admiration even further. At the same time, do not confuse challenge with criticism. Do not tolerate attempts to erode your identity under the guise of growth. Admiration does not seek to diminish, it seeks to refine. When a younger woman challenges you in a way that preserves your dignity, honors your autonomy, and engages your intellect, understand what that means. She is not trying to change you to keep you. She is engaging you because she already values you, and that is one of the clearest signs that her heart is not negotiating. It has already chosen. The question that remains is simple and confronting. Will you meet that admiration with grounded confidence, or will you mistake it for resistance and push it away?